Hello everyone, my name is Chandra Prakash Bhaguna and today I want to discuss an interview in a company called Neosoft and the company location is Mumbai and the interview date was May 19, 2025. So there were total 4 rounds of interview. So today I will discuss just 2 rounds of the interview. So the first question they asked me interface. Why do we need interface? Okay, so interface specify what method a class must implement, ensuring consistent behavior across different implementation. Enable loose coupling. Code depends on abstraction or interfaces rather than concrete classes, making the system more flexible and easier to maintain or extend. Support multiple implementation. Different classes can implement the same interface in their own way, allowing easy swapping without changing client code. Improve testability. Interfaces make it easier to create mock objects during unit testing, facilitating better test coverage and isolated tests. Enhance code organization and readability. The clarity, design intention and help teams follow consistent coding standards. Explain or example to explain why interfaces are useful. Imagine you have a notification system. Instead of writing your code directly for email notification, you define an interface. So interface notifier public function send $message, then create multiple classes implementing it. Class email notifier implements notifiers. Public function send $message, then send email. Class SMS notifier implements notifier. Public function send $message, send SMS. Your main code depends on the notifier interface, not on specific classes. Function notify user notifier $notify $msg $notify send $message. This way you can swap email with SMS or add new notifier easily without changing notify user. Why is this important? Makes code flexible and extendable, easy to maintain and tests, promotes clean architecture and solid interface and solid principles. Exceptional handling in PHP. So I have notes for that. So the try, catch and finally. So try, let us suppose we have 3 statements in try block: statement 1, statement 2 and statement 3. Catch xe, we have statement 4, and in finally we have 5, and outside the bracket we have the statement 6. Case 1, if there is no exception, statement 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 5 6 normal termination. Case 2, if an exception raised at statement 2 and corresponding catch block matched statement 1 4 5 6, that is normal termination. Case 3, if an exception raised at statement 2 and the corresponding catch block not matched statements 1 5, abnormal termination. Case 4, if an exception raised at statement 4, then it is always abnormal, but before abnormal termination finally block will be executed. Case 5, if an exception raised at statement 5 at statement 6, then it is always abnormal termination. So the conclusion is, within the try block, if anywhere exception raised, then rest of try block won't be executed even though we handle that exceptions. Hence length of try block should be as less as possible, and we have to take only risky code within try block. In addition to try block, there may be a chance of raising an exception inside catch and finally block. Third, if any statement raises an exception which is not part of try block, then it is always abnormal termination. Third question, they ask me traits. So PHP does not support multiple inheritance directly because a class in PHP can inherit from only one parent class. This restriction avoids the complexities and ambiguities of diamond problem which can occur in multiple inheritance scenario. So example, you have a trait logger, public function log $message, echo log $message, trait notifier, public function notify $message, echo notification $message, class user, use logger notifier, public function create user $name, echo user $name created, this log created user dollar name, this notify user $name has been added. So $user equal to new user, $user create user Alice, user Alice created, log created user Alice, and notification user Alice has been added. Fourth is the magic constants. PHP provides several built-in constants that change depending on where they are used. They are known as magic constants. Magic constants and descriptions. Line. Okay, first of all you have to declare magic constant like double underscore and then your magic constant, and in the suffix also you have to write double underscore. Okay, so we have magic constant how many? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, so generally we have 8 magic constants in PHP. Okay, first is line, current line number of the file, full path and file name of the file, dir, directory of the file, function's name, function name, class name, trait name, method, class method name, namespace, current namespace. Or a magic constant in PHP is a special built-in constant that automatically gives information about the script like file name, line number, function name, etc. It starts with double underscore and change its value depending on where it is used. Here is a simple PHP script from scratch that demonstrates the use of magic constants. So function display magic constants, echo function name, and then use the magic function, echo line number, magic constant line, echo file path, magic constant file, echo directory, magic constant dir. So call the function display magic constants. So the output will be the function name display magic constants, line number 5, file path cjamp htdoc test neosoft.php, directory cjamp htdocs and test. Question number 5, they ask me authentication and authorization. So the authentication is a process of verifying the identity of a user. It checks who the user is. Steps of authentication. Login. A user provides their credentials, username and password. Verification. The system checks if the provided credential match stored credential in a database or third-party authentication service. Token generation optional. Upon successful login, a system may generate a token, that is JWT, to maintain the session or facilitate API access. For example, a user logs in using their username and password. The system verifies the credentials and grants access if the information is correct. So the example in Laravel, auth :attempt email $request email, password equal to $request password. Authorization. Authorization is the process of determining what the user can do after they are authenticated. It controls the permission and access levels assigned to the user. Steps of authorization. Permission checks. After authentication, the system checks if the authenticated user has permission to perform a specific action. Example, view a page, modify a resource, etc. Roles and permission. In many system roles, admin, editor, user define which actions are allowed. Permission specify the specific action. Example, create, delete, edit that a user can perform. Example, a user may be authenticated but they might only be authorized to view their own profile, not other users' profile. A manager role may allow for editing posts while a guest role may only allow viewing. So example in Laravel, if auth :user can edit post, $post, then perform the action. So if we can summarize authentication and authorization, then authentication verify who the user is. Authorization determines what the user can do. Authentication identify login credentials. Authorization permission, roles and ability. Authentication ensure the user is who they claim to be. Authorization ensure the user has to right to access resources or perform actions. Authentication user login in with a username password. Authorization user being assigned roles like admin and editor, etc. So practical use in a typical web app, authentication would occur first, that is login in, and authorization would follow to ensure that the authenticated user has the correct permission to access the specific resources. Question number 6, they asked me hooks in CodeIgniter. So in CodeIgniter 4, hooks are replaced by the events. So events in CodeIgniter 4 are triggered action that execute custom code at specific points in the application's life cycle, like before or after a controller runs. They help in logging, authentication and performance monitoring without modifying core files. Events in CodeIgniter 4 are like triggers that let you run a specific code and at precise moments. Example, before a page loads after a user login without changing the original code. Think of them as alarm you set to perform tasks automatically when something happens. So simple analogy is, imagine your app is pizza delivery, and event is like saying when the oven timer rings, that is event, automatically send a text to the customers, that is your custom code. Example to remember. Scenario, show a under maintenance page before any page loads. So define the event triggered before any controller runs. Events : on pre-controller function. If config app maintenance mode, redirect to maintenance exit. How it works: when someone tries to visit your site, CodeIgniter checks the event before loading any pages. If maintenance mode is true, it redirects to the maintenance page. Key trigger point easy to recall. Pre-system before the app starts. Pre-controller before a page controller loads. Post-controller after a page finishes loading. Remember, events equal to do this when that happens. So no hooks in CodeIgniter 4. For example, inside htdocs event projects, localhost event demo auth register and localhost event demo auth login. Then check in register a user, localhost : 8080 auth register, login in localhost 8080 auth login. Checks log, database table, login logs, log file, writable logs. 8080 when using PHP Spark serve, otherwise localhost event demo auth register and localhost event demo auth login. So the conclusion is added authentication, that is register login, used hooks event to log login attempts and stored login attempts in database. Next question they asked me helpers and libraries. So helpers are a ready-made function to help you perform simple tasks quickly, like creating links, forms or handling files. How to use a helper? Load a helper. Tell CodeIgniter which helper you want to use. This load helper and URL loads the URL helper. Second, use helper function. After loading, just call the helper function. Example, using base URL from the URL helper. Echo base URL about. So the output will be the URL/about. Common helpers function, URL helpers, helps create links and manage URLs. This load helper URL, echo base URL home. Form helper helps make form faster. This load helper form, echo form open user/submit, echo form input username, echo form close. Third, text helper, shorten long text. This load helper text, echo word limiters. This is very long sentence 3, so it will show only 3 tokens like The output will be this is a auto loading helpers to always load a helper automatically. Application config autoload.php and add the helper's name. $autoload helper URL and form. That's it. Helpers are just tool to make coding easier. So how to load helpers? So load a helper, use load helper in your controller or model. This load helper URL. Now you can use helper function like echo base URL about. So the output will be the URL / about. Load multiple helpers. This load helper URL form. Auto load helpers if you want helpers to always load automatically. Open application config autoload.php. Find the section autoload helper blank. Add your helpers autoload helpers equal to URL form. This will load the helpers every time and the application runs. So helpers make your task faster and easier. Sixth question, they ask me how to declare helpers. So steps to create and use a custom helpers. So create a helper file, navigate to application helper, create a new file, for example my_helper.php. Ensure the file name ends with the _helper.php. Write function in the helper. Inside myhelper.php define your custom function. PHP if not function exist greet user function greet user $name. Return hello UC first $name. Third, load the helper in your controller or model. This load helper my. Now you can use the greet user function like this. Echo greet _user John. So the output will be the hello John. Auto load the helper, that is optional. Open application config autoload.php. $autoload helper equal to my. So key points. Always use if not function exist function name to avoid conflicts. Helper file should not contain classes, only functions. Libraries. Definition. Libraries are object-oriented class that offer more advanced functionality like session, email, from validation, etc. Nature. Object-oriented classes. How to load? This load library session, load session library. Usage. This session set user date name John. Echo $this session username name. Example libraries in CI session, email, pagination and form validation. So use when you need structured, reusable and stateful component with methods and properties. Quick comparison table. Helpers and libraries. Helpers procedural, that is function. Libraries object oriented classes. Helpers functions only. Libraries classes with methods. Helpers this load helper. Helpers library this load library. Helpers base underscore URL session libraries this session user data. Helpers simple task. Libraries complex reusable functionalities. Question number 8, they ask me routes. So routes define how URLs map to controller and action. Syntax URL / controller / method / parameters. Example URL / products / view / 123. This maps to controller products, method view and parameter 123. So types of routes. So static routes, fixed URL pattern. Example $routes get home index. So maps to home controller index method. Second, dynamic routes, variable URL pattern with parameters. Example routes get product / num product / detail / $1 dynamic parameter number. Custom routes defined using regular expression. Example $routes add product / 0 to 9 and 4 products / detail / $1 matched 4-digit number. Question number 9, last 10th highest salary in MySQL. So you have to write a query. So select distinct salary from employees, order by salary, disk limit 1, offset 9. Or if you don't use if you don't want to use offset, then directly we can use select distinct salary from employees, order by salary disk, limit 9(1). Explanation: distinct salary ensure duplicate salaries are not counted multiple times. Order by salary disk sorts salaries from highest to lowest. Limit 9(1) skips the top 9 salaries and gives the 10th one, that is 0 based index. Question 10. INNODB and MyISAM. Answer: here is a simplified breakdown of the 4 MySQL storage engine. INNODB best for application needing transaction data integrity and high concurrency. Key features: supports transaction, reliable data handling, supports foreign keys, relationships between tables, uses raw level locking, better performance when multiple users are accessing the data, crash recovery to prevent data loss. Second, ISAM, indexed sequential access method, best for older system with the simple read heavy applications. Key feature: no transaction, less reliable for complex operations, no foreign keys, no relationship between tables, table level locking, slower if multiple routes or multiple users are accessing data at the same time, obsolete and not commonly used anymore. Third, heap, memory storage engine, best for temporary fast data storage, example for caching or intermediate operations. Key features: in memory storage, extremely fast, data disappears when the server restarts, no persistent data is lost when the system shuts down, ideal for temporary data that doesn't need to be saved. Fourth, MyISAM, best for read heavy applications that don't require transactions. So key features: no transaction, that is no guarantee of data consistency, table level locking, slower if many users access the table at once, supports full text indexing, useful for searching text, faster for read operations but not ideal for concurrent writes. Summary: INNODB, best for application needing transaction and data safety. ISAM, old engine, no transaction or relationships, rarely used today. Heap, fast temporarily in memory storage for quick operations. Fourth, MyISAM, good for read heavy application but lack support for transactions. Question number 11. Product table and 2 columns, product name and category name. Find the total category using MySQL query. So they asked me, you have a table products and you have 3 column ID, product name and category name, and then you are inserting some dummy data inside that. Okay, so you have to find out total category using MySQL query. So select count distinct category name as total categories from products. Question number 12, they asked to me life cycle of CodeIgniter. Okay, so first of all, index.php is loaded, the starting point of the application. It sets up path and environment settings. Okay, the first is index.php. Second, routing. The request is passed to the router, which checks the URL and decides which controller to run. Controller is called. The controller is the main handler. It receives the request, talks to the model if needed, and decides what to show. Model, that is optional. If the controller needs to get data from database, it uses the model. View is loaded. The controller loads a view to show the final output like HTML. Response is sent to the browser. The final result from the view is sent back to the user's browser. So the simple view is first of all index.php, then router, then controller, then model, then view, then browser. Okay. So the summary is CodeIgniter process is request starting from index.php, routes it to the correct controller, use models to fetch data, sends it to the views, and finally display the results. Question number 13, they asked me get, put and patch. So get request. A get request is one of the most commonly used HTTP methods used to retrieve data from a server via an API, that is application programming interface. When a client like the Postman, a browser or a front-end application sends a GET request to an API endpoint, it asks the server to return specific resources or information such as user details, products list or settings. GET requests are read-only operation and do not modify any data on the server. Second, POST request. A POST request is used to send data to an API to create something new in the server. For example, you use POST to add a new user, submit a form or upload a file. Third is PUT request. A PUT request is used to update existing data on the server. It usually replaces the entire resource with new data. Fourth, patch request. A patch request is used to partially update existing data on the server. Unlike PUT, it only changes the specific fields you send. Fifth is the delete request. A delete request is used to remove data from the server. It deletes a specific resource like a user or a record permanently. Question number 14, .htaccess file. htaccess file is created in order to enable extra feature for that subdirectory. You can use the .htaccess files to modify various configuration and thus make changes to your website. These changes include authorization, error handling, redirect for specific URLs, user permission, etc. What is .htaccess? .htaccess is a configurable file used on Apache web server. It allows you to control the behavior of your website or web directory without changing the main server settings. The file is placed in a specific directory and the rules inside apply to that directory and its subdirectories. What can .htaccess do? Redirect URLs, like sending old pages to new URLs. Rewrite URL, make URLs look cleaner or friendlier. Set up custom error page like 404 not found page. Control access, password protect, folder block IPs. Enable or disable features like gzip compression. Manage caching for better performance. Example, redirect example. Redirect old page.html to new page.html. Redirect 301 old page.html, new page.html. Custom 404 error page. Error document 404 or 404 HTML. Why is .htaccess useful? You can change website settings easily without needing to edit the server configuration or restart the server. It gives more control to website owner or developers or shared hosting where server access is limited. Question number 15, index. An index in MySQL is a database structure that improves the speed of data retrieval operations on a table at the cost of additional storage and maintenance overhead. It works similarly to the index of a book, allowing MySQL to find rows much faster without scanning the entire table. Types of index in MySQL. So primary key index, unique identifiers for each row automatically created when you define a primary key. So let us suppose you have a user, you have a table users and you are creating ID. So this will be the primary key and name varchar. Unique index, ensure all values in a column are unique. So create unique index IDX email on user's email. Third, regular non-unique index, speeds up queries for columns with duplicate values. Create index IDX name on user's name. Full text index, for full text search in a large text fields, char varchar text only supported or INNODB or MyISAM. Create full text index IDX description on articles description. Fifth, composite index, index based on multiple columns. So create index IDX name email on user's name email. 6. Spatial index used for geospatial data. How to use index? Create an index. Create index IDX column on table name, column name. Drop an index. Drop index IDX column on table name. View existing index. Show index from table name. Benefit of using indexes: faster data retrieval, improve performance of select, join and where queries. Limitation: slower insert, update and delete operations. Increase storage requirement. So next question they ask me, and this is the sub question of this question: how many index can be built if we have 16 fields? So general limits for MySQL is maximum number of index per table is 64, maximum number of columns in composite index 16 columns, and maximum key length is 3072 bytes for INODB. So how many maximum index can be built if we have 16 tables? So we have 64. Index scenario for 16 field. Given 16 field, the theoretical combination are: single column index, you can create 16 unique single column index. Composite index, you can combine up to 16 columns in each index but are still limited to 64 total indexes. Example index combination: single column index, create index IDX field 1 on table name field 1, create index IDX field 2 on table name field 2. This gives 16 simple indexes. Composite index example: create index IDX composite 1 on table name field 1 field 2, create index IDX composite 2 on table name field 3 field 4. Here is how to create a table with 16 fields and add index in MySQL. Create the table. Create table, example table, field 1 int and up to field 16 blob. Step 2. Create 16 single columns index. Create index IDX field 1 on example table field 1 and up to create index IDX field 16 on example underscore table field 16. 100, that is a blob required length. 16th question they ask me: triggers. A trigger is a code associated with the insert, update, delete operations, that is IUD. Or a trigger is a stored procedure in database which automatically invoke whenever a special event in the database occurs. For example, a trigger can be invoked when a row is inserted into a specific table or when certain table columns are being updated. Let's create a very simple example of demonstrate how a MySQL trigger works. We will create two tables: user, a table to store user data, and user log, a table to log into updates made to the user table. Okay, the user table stores user ID, username and email, and the user log tables stores logs about email changes specific the user ID, old and new email values, and the timestamp when the change was made. Step 2. Create a trigger. We'll create a before update trigger that will log any changes to the email fields in the users table. So create the trigger, delimiter, $, create trigger before user update, before update on users. For each row, begin checks if the email is being updated. If old.email does not equal to new.email, then insert into user log user ID, old email, new email, values old dot user ID, old dot email and new dot email, and if and delimiters. Okay, this before update trigger will fire before any update to the table. If the email is changed, that is, if the email is changed, that is old email is different from the new email, the trigger will log an old and new email values into the user log table. Step 3. Perform an update. Let's update a user's email in the users table. The trigger will automatically log the change in the user log table. insert a sample user, insert into users username email some dummy data, update the user's email. This will trigger the logging in the user log table. So update user set email equal to john.example.com where user id equal to 1. Step 4, checks the logs. After performing the update, you can check the user log table to see a log of the email change. So select star from user log. You should see an entry in the user log table like this: log id, user id, old email, new email, and update at 1 john@example.com, john.doe. This is a changed email, and then you will get the timestamp. So the summary is, we create two simple tables, users and user log. We created a trigger that logs any change to the email field in the users table into the user log table. The trigger automatically fired when the email was updated and the change was logged in user log. Next question they asked me, transactions. In SQL, a transaction is a set of operations that are executed as a single unit. These operations can include multiple SQL statements such as insert, update, or delete. Transactions ensures that the database maintains its integrity and consistency according to the ACID properties, that is, atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Basic transaction commands: start transaction, initiate a transaction; commit, saves all changes made during the transaction to the database; rollback, undoes all changes made during the transaction, returning the database to its state before the transaction began. Basic SQL transaction example: start transaction, perform some operations, update account set balance equal to balance minus 100 where account ID equal to 1, update account set balance equal to balance plus 100 when account ID equal to 2. If everything is correct, commit the change, that is commit. Rolling back a transaction: if something goes wrong during the transaction, you can use rollback to undo the changes. Here, if an error occurs before commit statement, the rollback ensures that no changes are applied to the database. In this example, a transaction began with start transaction. Two updates statements are executed to transfer money between two accounts. If transaction is successful, commit is issued making the change permanent. Transaction ACID, that is atomicity, consistency, isolation, durability. The concept of transaction in database is defined by the ACID properties, which ensures that database operations are processed reliability. Here is a breakdown of each component of ACID. So atomicity, that is the all or nothing. Definition: a transaction is treated as single unit, meaning either all of its operations are executed or none are. Example: if a transaction involves transferring money from one account to another, both the debit from one account and credit to the other must succeed. If one fails, the entire transaction is rolled back, ensuring no partial updates. Second, consistency, that is valid state. Definition: a transaction takes the database from one valid state to another valid state. It ensures that the rules and constraints of the database, such as foreign key, checks, etc., are always maintained. Example: if a rule says that the balance in an account cannot be negative, a transaction that tries to withdraw more money than the available balance will fail, keeping the data consistent. Third, isolation, that is independent execution. Definition: transactions are executed in isolation, meaning that the operations of one transaction are not visible to other until the transaction is completed. This ensures that transactions do not interfere with each other. Example: if two users try to transfer money from same account simultaneously, isolation ensures that the final result is correct as if they were processed one after other, even if they were processed at the same time. Fourth is the durability, that is permanent. Definition: once a transaction is committed, its changes are permanent even in the case of system crash or failure. The database ensures that the changes are returned to non-volatile storage like a disk. Example: if a transaction or transfer money is committed and the system crash afterward, the transactions effect money transferred will still be preserved when the system recovers. So in summary, atomicity: everything happens or nothing happens. Consistency: data moves from one value state to another. Isolation: transactions don't affect each other's operation. Durability: once a transaction is complete, its changes are permanent. Question number 18. Git. Git is a tool used by the developers to track changes in their code and work together with others. It helps you save version of your project, go back to the previous version, and manage code from multiple people. So the one-liner: Git is like a time matching for your code and also helps team work together. So they asked me some Git commands. Git init: start a new Git repository. Git clone URL: copy a remote repository locally. Git status: check current repo rate. Git add: stage all changes. Git commit -m message: save changes with the message. Git push: upload local commits to remote. Git pull: download changes from remote. Git branch: list or create branches. Git checkout branch name: switch to a different branch. Git merge branch name: merge another branch into the current one. Next question they ask me: namespace. In PHP, a namespace is a way to group logically related classes, interfaces, functions, and constants to avoid name collisions, especially in the large application or when integrating third-party libraries. Or in simple words, a namespace is like a folder for your code. It helps you avoid name conflicts when different parts of your project use the same class or function name. Example without namespace: class test public function show echo hello. Now imagine another file also has a test class, it will cause an error. Example with namespace: namespace my project, class test public function show echo hello from my project. Now PHP knows this place is a part of my project group. How to use it? Require test.php, that file with namespace my project /test, object equal to new test, and object show. Why use it? To organize your code, to prevent class function name conflicts, to work better with autoloader like Composer. Question number 20, they asked me what is the SSO. So SSO is single sign-on. Single sign-on in PHP allows users to log it once and gain access to the multiple system or application without needing to log it again for each one. Here is a basic overview and example of how to implement SSO in PHP. SSO single sign-on means login once, access all connected application without logging in again. So simple example for interview: let's say you have two websites. Oath.example.com handles login, app1.example.com your main application. How it works in simple steps: user visits app1.example.com. If not logged in, they are redirected to oath.example.com. User logs in username plus password. A token is created and sent back to the app1.example.com. App1 uses this token to create a local session. User is not logged into the app1 without re-entering credentials. Key points: use PHP session to keep users logged in. Use tokens, example base64 or JWT, to pass login info between systems. Always use HTTPs for security. Simple code: like or login server auth.example.com/login.php. Session start if dollar post username double equal to admin and dollar underscore post password equal to 123. Then dollar token equal to base 64 underscore encode admin. Header location https, or you can say the URL /sso.php. Query string token equal to dollar token. On application server app1.example.com/sso.php. Session underscore start if dollar get token, then dollar underscore session user equal to base 64 decode dollar underscore get token. Header location dashboard.php. Show dashboard session underscore start and echo welcome dollar underscore start user. In short, SSO lets user log it once and use multiple system. In PHP, it can be done using session and tokens passed between apps. And the another round I had was the client round in the BCG, that is the Boston Consulting Group. So that was a client round. So they asked me OCI. So the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is Oracle's cloud platform that provides infrastructure services for running enterprise workloads. It offers a set of services including core feature like compute, virtual machine and bare metal servers, storage, object blocks and file storage, networking, virtual cloud network VCN, load balancer and gateways, databases, autonomous database, Oracle Exadata, MySQL, HeatWave, etc. Containers and Kubernetes. OCI container engine for Kubernetes. Monitoring and security. Identity and access management, that is IAM. Logging and monitoring tools. AI, ML, service DevOps tools. Use cases, hosting application and website. Running Oracle's database with high availability. Disaster recovery and backup. Migrating enterprise workload from on-prem to cloud, or OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI is Oracle's cloud platform, just like Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. You can use OCI to run websites and apps, store data, use powerful Oracle database, create virtual machine and networks. It's basically a place where your companies can run their IT systems online instead of using the physical servers. The second question the client asked me, IIS. So IIS is a server and it stands for Internet Information Services. It is a web server created by Microsoft. It runs on Windows Server and used to host websites, run web applications like ASP.NET, serve HTML, CSS, JS, image, etc. to users, support HTTPS, FTP and more. For example, if you build a website and want people to access it online, you can use IIS on a Windows server to make it live. It's like Apache or Nginx but made by Microsoft and works best with the Windows technology. Question number 3, they ask me load balancer. So a load balancer is like a traffic controller for website or apps. It distributed incoming traffic like users visiting your site across multiple servers so that no single server gets overloaded. Okay. The website stays fast and available. If one server goes down, other can still handle traffic. Example, you have 3 servers running your website when 1000 users visit your website. So without a load balancer, one server might crash for too much traffic. So with a load balancer, it is split traffic between all 3 servers. That is 333 each. Benefit, high availability, faster performance, handles more users and fault tolerance. If one server fails, other take over. Also they ask me some more server questions which I am not able to recall right now. So this was the interview in a company called Neosoft, and the company location is Mumbai, and the interview date was May 19, 2025. So these are two rounds. One was direct from the company and the another one from the client. So I will share more interview question with you. Till then, bye.